The fantasy season is a few months away, but if you're looking to succeed, like I said earlier, get the Great North Sports Fantasy Football Draft Kit for 2026. Stop chasing and start winning. Now, the reason why I did this is because Armchair and I had a little bit of a deal where I promote his book every week to get him to join our fantasy league, which John won last year, by the way. And speaking of which, John, you mentioned something right before we got on. What is it?
What? Sorry.
There's 100 days till football.
Oh yeah, 100 days till football. We're on going down to double-digit days.
We're going down to double-digit days. I am so excited about this. Anyway, we got a lot of stuff to get into. Let's play the intro and let's do it.
Flag football's almost as bad as amateur wrestling.
There's a lot that needs to be fixed.
What are we even hearing about?
Tiny rant here. I can't. Brian Cashman is as dumb as a doornail.
The U.S. will beat Canada in the gold medal game. Guaranteed!
Get Anthony Volpe off of my team.
Just give me my team.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know what happens when enemies plays. It's about to go down. Welcome to Four Square Sports episode number 47, The Calm Before the Storm. And the reason why it's called that is because the NBA Finals are right around the corner. The Stanley Cup Finals are around the corner. The NFL season is soon to be less than 100 days away. And we have a lot of stuff to get into. But before we start into getting any sports talk, Matt Sirianni, Kevin Zost, John Walsh. Gentlemen, how are you?
I'm feeling fantastic, Matt. As you know, the Knicks, we're going to get into them later, but I'm feeling pretty good. We'll see how I feel later tonight, but I'm ready to get the show on the road, even though it is a later earlier day than we're used to. So,
Right. How you doing, John?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. It's been a beautiful couple weeks here in the Pacific Northwest, and it finally feels like summer. I need to be on a boat drinking an adult beverage right now.
Don't we all now? I got some color actually from being outside. I don't know if you can tell, but I didn't get burnt, so that's a positive start to the summer.
mm-hmm.
But what isn't a positive start for Kevin, unfortunately, y'all. Kevin's feeling fantastic. He's gonna worry about another thing. If you've been following our NBA NHL dual bracket challenge, Kevin is firmly in last place with a whopping 23 points. Alec has 60. I have 52. And with 2 rounds left, Kevin has no chance of coming back, which means Kevin, for the first time in our history of challenges, is going to suffer punishment. And I have the best solution for it. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you, courtesy of WheelNames.com, the Wheel of Punishment. Now, I'm going to go over the options here. There are 10 options and plus 1 option where it says John chooses. So here are the options. 100 push-ups, 3-minute plank, wear a rival jersey, Wendy's 4x4, KFC large bucket, Bean Boozled, Tabasco punishment where you pull an entire bottle of Tabasco on a burrito, wear an 80s wig, John chooses, singing karaoke song to end the show, and then my personal favorite, this is new, auto pick your entire fantasy team.
Oh God! Like what your dad did by auto picking Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh God, man.
So when we do fantasy football, if Kevin lands on all pick your entire
that's what
fantasy
you're
team, he's
doing.
got to let an entire minute go by for every pick.
Jesus Christ. Okay. You know what? Whatever this lands on, I mean, if the Knicks go on to win a title, I mean, this punishment's worth it.
Okay. All right. John, any punishments that stand out to you on this wheel?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's auto-picking.
Okay.
Don't speak it into existence, John. Come on.
Okay. I'm going to spin the wheel right now.
Oh, God. Am I going to throw up, pay a ton of money, or I have to auto pick? You got to be kidding me.
John chooses the punishment.
You've got to be kidding me. Are you serious? All right.
So, John, I think I already know what you're going to say.
Okay. Go ahead, John. Put me on
I
my misery.
am a world-class exit hole, but I am not that mean. So I'm going to say wear an opponent's jersey.
Wear a rival jersey.
Okay. Now we have a separate wheel for that, right?
Yes, we're going to make a separate wheel for that. So here's what we're going to do. Because we spun the wheel once, we're not going to waste too much time in the early going. So during commercial break, when we get to the DAS ad, I'll create another wheel. And at the end of the show, we'll spin the other wheel to determine which rival jersey you're going to wear.
Okay. And you're sure that's the one you want, John? No take backsies, right?
No take backsies.
That's better than auto picking.
Okay. All right.
John actually spares you now.
Okay.
Okay, so later on this show, we will indeed be spinning another wheel. But anyways, now it's time to get into sports talk. Let me just get rid of this. Stop sharing. There we go. Okay. So we're gonna start off with the NBA. That's our first topic of discussion. The Eastern and Western Conference Finals are underway. Now, I was in New York City on Tuesday. And on Tuesday, it was a sea of orange and blue, and rightfully so because the New York Knicks are hosting the Eastern Conference Finals. And Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals was insane. With 7:52 to go, the Cleveland Cavaliers were up 93-71. But what happened after that was shocking. The Knicks finished the fourth quarter on a 30-8 run to force overtime, tied at 101, and then in overtime, they outscored Cleveland 14-3 to win 115-104. They went on a 44-11 run. It was the largest postseason comeback in New York Knicks history. Jalen Brunson is a god in the fourth quarter. Landry Shamet had the luckiest bounce you're ever going to see. Mikal Bridges stepped up. Cat didn't play his best, but it didn't matter. It was just insane. And Kevin's just looking at me like all smiles. Kevin, what happened?
Jalen Brunson happened. That's what happened, baby. I was watching the game with my dad. I can understand why Knicks fans. I think it was 7.5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter when they were down by 22 points. I can understand why they would give up or because we've seen this happen time and time and again. We saw it last year whenever they versed the Pacers. The first game, we all know what happened there. We've seen it time and time again with this team. I wasn't one of those people. I was watching with my dad, and he was saying, "Kevin, this game's over." I'm like, "You guys got to trade Cat. He sucks. I don't care if you guys make the NBA Finals. You got to trade him. He sucks." I'm like, "Dad, it's only the third quarter. There's still plenty of time. It's 7.5 left to go in the fourth quarter." I'm like, "There's still plenty of time." Because I know we have the best clutch player in the league in Jalen Brunson. And what did he do? He put on the most clutch performance that you will ever see in your life. He scored 11 straight points by himself. He put the team on his back. He's a one-man army. Nobody can touch him in the postseason. It's a disgrace that media experts never gave him a chance whenever he first came to the Knicks. They didn't even think he was a secondary scorer. It's an absolute disgrace. He never got even one NBA MVP vote this year. And at I like this CC Sabathia quote. My guy CC saying, "Everybody is better than Jalen Brunson until it's time to be better than Jalen Brunson." Yeah. And nobody is more better in the playoffs than Jalen Brunson. And I'll admit, I'll give criticism for sure. Beginning looked great. They came out of the gate. It didn't seem like the rust was any factor, and from resting 9 days, looked like it towards the end of the second quarter and definitely the third quarter. They were not knocking shots down. They couldn't hit a dang three to save their life for most of the game until that fourth quarter. Their defense was struggling in that third quarter, and Donovan Mitchell was going off. and Jackson Merrill was hitting his threes. So I was like, we're really going to do this, are we? We're not going to set the tone early. Everyone's going to say, oh, it's the rust. It's the rust. And then I'm like, it's not the rust. It's just that we can't buy a 3. Okay. And then Cat's not doing anything. He's going back to his old ways. And I'm like, it's okay. Fourth quarter, Jalen Brunson will be fine. And I trusted in that. I trusted in it. I believed in it. And Jalen Brunson did not, and this Knicks team did not let me down. But it wasn't all Jalen Brunson that came back to win it. Mikal Bridges, he made some tough threes down the stretch to get into overtime. Landry Shamet, my guy. It was a great decision by head coach Mike Brown to swap out Josh Hart for Landry Shamet, because Landry Shamet is a better three-point shooter, and you're down, so you're trying to make this comeback. And Shamet, if you need a 3, Shamet can give you one, or Deuce, whichever you want prefer. But Shamet has a quicker release point than Deuce. So you want a quick 3 and to score quickly, then he's your guy. And he was scoring threes. He did not miss whenever he was touching the ball from beyond the arc. He was a big catalyst as to why the Knicks even got to overtime, let alone made the comeback as well as they did. And now for my fun part, I get to read off a bunch of stats because this team absolutely deserves it. It is a 22-point comeback, which is the largest comeback in Knicks playoff history. So this team continuously, time and time again in this postseason, continues to make history. The Knicks now, with that win, that is an 8-game playoff winning streak, which extends the Knicks franchise record. And so they won 8 straight playoff games. The Knicks have only won 8 total playoff games in the 21 seasons before Jalen Brunson was here. Clearly, Jalen Brunson is a big reason to why this team is where it's at. Another stat, and I can't believe I'm even saying this one, Fred Katz gave this stat. Teams up by 20 or more points with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter of playoff games were 643-0. Wow. Until that game last night. The Knicks were the first team to ever do that, because this team, only this Knicks team, when you have Jalen Brunson doing what he does in the fourth quarter, being as clutch of a player as he is, when you have a guy like him and could score at will and can turn on a switch in the fourth quarter, the Knicks team, it's the only team that's capable of doing that. I can't recall another team in recent memory that can turn on and flip a switch like that in the fourth quarter. And actually, if they're down by a huge deficit, you know that like it's a definite possibility that they can come back from that deficit. When you have Jalen Brunson, no deficit is insurmountable, especially when you give yourself a chance in the fourth quarter. One more stat, because why not? After they were down by 22 points, the Knicks in the final 12 minutes of the game, so including the fourth quarter and overtime, that they went on a 44-11 run to complete that comeback. It was a 38 to run to force overtime, and they still won by double digits, by 11. Yep. You think that the way that the game was going, that like, okay, like they're just going to make a last-second shot and win the game by like 1 or 2. No, they go into overtime, and they absolutely did not miss a beat. Maybe the Cavs did not score a ton of points in that overtime. In fact, I'm trying to see the scoreboard of it, because it's absolutely unbelievable. Like what this team did. They had a 0.1% chance, this Knicks team, to win in those final minutes of the fourth quarter. They defied all logic, this team. The run that they're on, the way that they were beating teams, obviously the rust was a bit of a factor. Obviously, threes were not going down. And then Jalen Brunson put the team on his back, and along with his supporting cast and Mikal Bridges and Landry Shamet. Even with guys struggling like Cat, he played a terrible game. He was not defending, he was not scoring, he was going back to his own ways. He was flailing, arguing calls. He wasn't blocking shots. He was letting guys go. But you know what? Brunson, he made James Harden. He made James Harden his son in that in overtime. Like Jalen Brunson is James Harden's daddy in that game, because he was giving him the business. He was iso balling, attacking him every single matchup he got. Harden cannot defend. I told you guys he's a
You
playoff
did.
choke artist, and he's going to continue to be that. He couldn't hit any shot that whenever he scored the ball. He only scored the one bucket for like last 30 seconds when they went up 101-99. Then Brunson ties it, and then it goes to OT. And I was holding my breath whenever Jackson Merrill shot that three to end the fourth quarter. That was halfway down, and luckily it went out. If that went in, I would have smashed everything in my house, because that would have been the same exact scenario as to what happened to us last year. The same game, Eastern Conference Finals, Game 1, Tyrese Halliburton makes that shot from the back of the rim back in, and we lose the game, and we end up losing the series. I'm like, this cannot be happening again. It can't happen again. Luckily, it rimmed out. Even Mike Breen was pre-calling his bang call. He said he was halfway to finishing the word bang, and it was like bang, in and out, and then it goes to overtime. Even he couldn't believe it, and he calls it for a living. So, I was so distraught whenever that shot was going up. But as soon as it rimmed down, I'm like, oh my God, the Knicks have an actual chance to win this game. I can't. Oh my goodness, and they won the game. I literally couldn't believe the way they won, but I didn't give up on the possibility of them coming back. I never gave up on them, because so far with this team and Jalen Brunson, I never gave up on them, because they never gave up on themselves. They never gave up on me. And that's how you should be playing the game of basketball, when you have championship aspirations. Because this team, it's like you said in the last episode, Matt, this team feels like a team of destiny right now. Like I said in the last episode, if they're playing like this, if this isn't the year, then when is the year? Because you look at the other side of the coin, right? The Western Conference Finals between the Spurs and the Thunder were able to take one and fight off the grueling loss that was a double overtime loss in Game 1. And if you're the Knicks, that's what you want. You want that series to go 6 or 7 games because just like the Cleveland and Detroit series, you like to see your opposing competition get tired and have that not only a few days rest. So
fatigue.
Fatigue, exactly. So that's exactly what you want. And this Knicks team, man, it was one of the best comebacks I think I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah.
Let alone my team. I think it's one of the best comebacks you will ever see in an NBA playoff game, period. That's how good it was. And I was just so amped up. I was talking to my dad afterwards, like, did you see me give up? Did I not tell you that they were going to win this game? And then he's like, you're right. You won the game. And I'm like, congratulations. and then he went to bed, and then he gave me a high five and stuff like that. So I love my dad. But yeah, this team is just, it just continues to surprise me about how good they play, about how they never quit, the chemistry that they have, how in sync that they are. Even when shots aren't falling, even when guys aren't performing, even OG struggled in his first game back off a hand. But in the overtime, he actually played pretty good. He played good defense, and he scored some few buckets. That was really, really big there. And I'm currently watching Game 2 right now. It's a close game. It's a 2-point game. And hopefully, the good times can continue to roll. Hopefully, in this game, they don't turn the ball over 19 times. That is a big reason as to why they were down, how big they were. They turned the ball over 19 times. That cannot happen. And yes, you can look to the rust of resting 9 days, but I look at it as just sloppy play. Honestly. But the good news is the Knicks turned it over 19 times. The Cavs turned it over 21 times. I told you guys that both Cleveland and Detroit turned the ball over a ton.
You're right.
In the playoffs, and they did 21 turnovers, and I think 6 of those turnovers were James Harden by himself. Harden turned the ball over more times than he had assists. That's why I'm saying that Harden he's never going to win a championship in my eyes. I mean we'll see. I doubt it, but this team just continues to amaze me. And you know how I knew that Cleveland was scared? It's because when they started doing the hack-a-Mitch nonsense, they were doing 6 times in the fourth quarter. That told me that Cleveland team was scared, that this Knicks team was going to find a way to win this game. And you know what? They're right to be scared, because they came back and they won, and they just stole one at home, theoretically. And I hope they go up 2 games to none tonight. But I
I continue to be amazed by how well this team plays in the playoffs.
John, you wanted to say something?
One of the harshest criticisms about this team a year ago was their coach and the lack of bench play, and I think that's a significant change in this year. Is your coach is actually playing the bench and playing to. I mean, you said it in your analysis of game one, where you're subbing in a better 3-point shooter and coming back and winning from behind, and they didn't do that last year. So I 100% agree, and you didn't mention that, so I just wanted to make sure it got pointed out.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was good of you to mention that. Like the Knicks, I'll tell you right now, they have all the mojo going right now compared to any of the other 3 teams remaining. And yes, the OKC San Antonio series, that's tied at 1. That went to double overtime in game 1. Victor Wembanyama had 40 points, 41 points, 24 rebounds, which is insane for him. But he's just continued to be a unicorn. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander won NBA MVP to the surprise of absolutely nobody because the NBA is just absolutely predictable at this point. But I will say this about the New York Knicks. They have not won a title since 1973. Like I mentioned, the stars look like they're aligning right now. And I know it's early in game 2 and the Knicks are trailing by a few points, but it's still early in the game. Like Kevin said, you can't turn off the TV with this team. You can't. It's just one of those things where it's like you have to watch from start to finish to see what Jalen Brunson can do. And Mike Brown has done a great job. I feel like once he started to doubt himself after losing game 3 in Atlanta, I think he just realized, okay, I'm not doing that ever again. And he's been coaching like his life depends on it. And you mentioned the bench, using Landry Shamet, using Deuce McBride. That's what Tom Thibodeau did not do last year, and it cost the Knicks big time.
A quick little mini rant here about the Knicks.
Yeah.
Not because of their play, but because of some of the fans. I saw a video where some fans gave up on the team and they left whenever they were down by 22 points. If you looked up the ticket prices for those games, some of those ticket prices are absolutely insane. Some of those are like I'm talking $53,000 per piece for courtside seats.
Dear God,
and an average of $1,000 for a ticket price for that first game. The lowest I think was like $500. You cannot be a true Knicks fan if you are just going to give up on the team and not get at least your money's worth and stay for the whole entire game. I think those are fake fans or fair weather fans, whatever you want to call it. Listen, I get it. If it was like a regular game, like I want to beat the traffic. If my team was down like 30, I mean, like I want to get out of here and be in time for dinner. You know what I mean? But this is a playoff game. This is a Knicks team that like looks like they're a team of destiny. You've seen the way that they've played. What makes you think that they're not going to at least try to come back or at least get your money's worth? You're paying someone's salary for sitting in a seat to watch that game, and you choose to give up on the team with 7.5 minutes left to go with that kind of money that you paid your hard-earned money to sit there and watch the game in Madison Square Garden. You know how many Knicks fans like myself would kill to watch that game live if I had the money to do it?
Yeah,
I mean, I say shame on those fans because I'm not gonna I don't want to say I question their fandom, but I question like why wouldn't you at least get your money's worth with that money that you paid to sit and watch this playoff game? It's the Eastern Conference Finals for crying out loud. For crying out loud. I mean, I'm sorry, like that just screams like fake to me. Like I couldn't believe that. I'm like, all right, get out. If you're not gonna believe in the team, fine, get out. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Put a bad taste in your mouth. I understand that. These games cost as much as going to the World Cup final. Think of it. The city of New York and New Jersey, that area is going to have a lot of stuff to look forward to with the Knicks playoff run and then also the World Cup coming to MetLife Stadium, which I don't even want to think about right now because the situation here in New Jersey is crazy financially. I don't want to get into that right now. Otherwise, I'll be in fresh pound or fried mode. But I don't have fresh pound or fried. John does. But the NBA playoffs continue to be exciting. We'll keep you updated on Knicks Cavs game 2 whenever we can. and we have a lot more stuff to get into. So this was the NBA. Now we're going to go into a little bit of tennis. Tennis we haven't gotten into much, but there was a really big story that came out of tennis. So Carlos Alcaraz, the defending Australian Open champion, we haven't seen him since January, suffered a wrist injury that's taken him out of Roland Garros, where Carlos Alcaraz has been the king of clay the last few years. But it's even going to get worse. Every single grass tournament, including the Wimbledon tournament, Carlos Alcaraz will not be around for. So now you're looking at the number 2 player in the world behind Yannick Sinner out of play for the next 2 majors, looking like he might be back for the U.S. Open in August, but we are not entirely sure based on how things are going. From what we understand, it's a pretty serious wrist injury. Kevin, how seriously does this change the complexion of things?
Oh, it changes things dramatically. I mean, you're talking about Carlos Alcaraz here, or you can argue is one of the best players of this current modern era, along with Yannick Sinner right now. And it seems like every Grand Slam tournament, it's kind of pretty much always the 2 same guys, Sinner and Alcaraz, unless you know Djokovic or whoever like goes on a run. And it always seems to be those 2 guys. And I think it's going to be continue to be those guys for future, Grand Slam tournaments to come. But him being withdrawn from this tournament, I mean, like, I would think that Sinner's got to be in the running to be in the final. I like automatically with the way he's been playing. But who comes out as the second guy to face him? I mean, like, now I'm thinking with Alcaraz out, is this finally the year where Djokovic breaks the 24 Grand Slam mark? Because you got to remember, the last Grand Slam tournament, he faced Yannick Sinner in the Australian Open semifinal, and he won, and he beat Yannick. And he was losing to Yannick every other Grand Slam appearance that he had before, but he was playing better as he was getting more chances with him, and he finally was able to break that drought and beat him in the semifinals. Even though he lost in the final to Alcaraz, the aforementioned Alcaraz, he's still playing as good as he can play at age 37. And like I said, you guys know that I'm a huge Novak Djokovic fan. So I hope that like this tournament, like with Alcaraz down, I'm hoping that it gives like Djokovic like a path to face Yannick in the French Open final. Even though that I do know that clay is Novak's worst surface by far.
Clay is the toughest surface out there for any tennis player. If anything, you're mentioning Novak Djokovic gets a chance. What about Alexander Zverev? Here's a guy that's been itching to get to a Grand Slam final. Hell, even win a Grand Slam. And you mentioned Yannick Sinner, being so dominant. I get it, but if you get Yannick Sinner in a match that goes longer than 4 hours, you have a chance to win. Because for some reason, Yannick Sinner can't win matches that are longer than 4 hours.
Yeah, that's just an interesting stat you bring up, and like I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think because of that stat, that's why Novak was able to beat him the last time that he faced him, because I think that match was like 4.5 hours. So like off that stat alone, like that already like completes that narrative that like Sinner can't win with matches that are longer. Because I think the reason why is because Yannick is used to putting guys away like in less time, because he plays wherever his like ball location is whenever he strikes the ball, and his service game is really good. So I think that's a big reason why that stat is very prevalent. But I also think that you mentioned Alexander Zverev. It's very possible. Like I can see that like he's continuing to get better in his game and in his approaches. And I think that he's definitely one of the top contenders, I think, to win French Open. There we go. I was trying to upload.
There you go. You get the background.
There you go. But yeah, Zverev, like he's been trying for so long to win one Grand Slam and hasn't done it because like he's faced just better competition. He's had to face Novak a bunch of times, Federer, Nadal, and now he's got to face the 2 young phenoms in Sinner and Alcaraz. So like it's going to be a tough challenge for anyone. So yeah, Zverev, absolutely. I think he can. I think his ceiling is the semifinals. I have to see what the bracket looks like, if he's in Yannick's bracket or Novak's bracket. I feel like if he's in Yannick's bracket, I feel like he's going to come up short. If he's in Novak's bracket, we'll see. How Novak moves.
That could be a challenge if he's in Novak's bracket.
Yeah, with his health and all that. So nothing's guaranteed for Zverev, but I absolutely think that he can be like in the semifinals or possibly the finals for this French Open. Again, clay isn't his best surface either, but I do think that like he's going to go pretty far in this tournament.
And then if you want to look at like other contemporary options, Ben Shelton's name has been flirting around a lot. Taylor Fritz, maybe he can finally get a grip because every time he's faced Carlos Alcaraz, he's never gotten past him. So if you're looking for Shelton or even Fritz to step up to the plate and maybe make a name for themselves, maybe they could do that. But the problem with the American men is that they get like kind of snake bit the last 20 plus years. And Novak is an American killer, similar with Zverev. So it's like, if you're going to bet on these two men trying to break through, clay is not their best surface either. So clay is great, but it seems like the one person who can always figure it out was Alcaraz, and now he's gone. So this makes things a whole lot interesting.
Well, Alcaraz, I mean, like, is kind of the heir apparent of Nadal, pretty much, with how well he plays on the surface of clay.
Right.
And you mentioned Taylor Fritz not being able to get past Alcaraz. Taylor Fritz can never get past Novak. He's never beat Novak, even though, like, when he's played better, Novak still gets the better hand of him. So I think he's like 12-0 or like 13-0 against Taylor Fritz. So like,
yeah, something crazy.
That stat goes heavily against Taylor Fritz there. So Taylor Fritz has to hope he doesn't even face Djokovic either. So
the Wimbledon, so for the French Open will begin on Sunday, May 24th, and qualifying rounds are currently underway. They'll conclude tomorrow, and we'll see what happens from there. Now we're going to get into Major League Baseball because we do have quite a few things that we want to discuss. We didn't discuss Major League Baseball at all last episode, but now we're going to. So if you're looking at the records for Major League Baseball through 50 games, I would not have told you that the Tampa Bay Rays would be 33-15, which is an insane stat to me. They're competing with the Atlanta Braves for best record in Major League Baseball, and us Yankee fans are pissed because we didn't think Tampa would be competitive, but here they are. They're killing it. Now, John, I want to ask you a question. I know it's kind of a small sample size, but do you think it's time we take Tampa Bay seriously at this point in the season?
Yeah, I think so, at least to a certain degree. The teams that should have been here aren't there this year. The Blue Jays have had some significant injuries. The Ravens just haven't had any bats. So, I mean, I would start taking them seriously just because I don't know who else is gonna actually step up. Kind of like the A's out here on the West
Oh,
Coast.
yeah. You mentioned the A's. That's a good transition. The A's are in first place in their division by a game over the Texas Rangers, but that division is just a very sloppy division race in the AL West. But the A's are on top, and listen, the odds for them winning the AL West at the start of the season was like around plus 2,000 at the start of the year. But if you're looking at them now, we're almost through May. Their odds have dropped to plus 600 to win the division, which is pretty insane when you look at it. Like, before we made our division predictions, I was confident Seattle would actually be contending for that division, if not running away with it. Houston's fallen apart. Texas is inconsistent. The Angels are just garbage. I hate to say it with Mike Trout actually playing well, but the Angels are just garbage. And then, I mean, Seattle, I can't tell you what's going on. Cal Raleigh's falling off a cliff. I hate to say that in front of you, John, but what's going on with him?
Well, I mean, right now he's on the injury list. So I don't think he's even playing baseball for another 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
But he just hasn't been there. He hasn't been. Last year the first rumblings I remember talking about were the torpedo bat.
Right.
And how Aaron Judge was hitting, and then the next thing you know, Cal Raleigh is using the torpedo bat and smashing 60. And this is, I don't know, this might be an off year. There's a lot of different dynamics with some of the new players that we have. I just don't think he's been fully healthy the last month or so. And we've been, the Mariners have been in a huge slump. Like, we won our series against the Braves, but then we lose to the Padres and the Sox. So it's just been a really weird 6 weeks, I think, for the Mariners.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking. And you mentioned the Chicago White Sox. Look at them. One game above 500 in wild card contention. The American League is very, very weird at this point in the year. Like, you got teams that are 1 or 2 games above 500 in current playoff contention. Meanwhile, you look at the National League, and the National League, all the wild cards are like at least 9 games above 500. And the Brewers have climbed back. They're in first place in the NL Central now. I mean, you got the Braves up there. The Dodgers are, hit or miss, but the Padres are right on their heels. The Cardinals are looking really good. I wish Alec was on here because Pittsburgh's even competitive. They won 6-2 to St. Louis today. So it's like baseball in the National League is looking really good. That NL Central division is just like a whole different animal that I didn't expect. Like, at this point, all 5 teams have a winning record. Even Pittsburgh.
We were talking about Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh schedule this week, and Armchair is like, well, the Steelers aren't even the best team in Pittsburgh right now. It's
Right.
Pirates.
Yeah, I remember I was in that live stream commenting, and I heard him say that. So that's actually kind of cool that you brought it up. So, Kev, I want to come to you now for a little bit of baseball talk. So, I know the Yankees, they're 3.5 back, and they're losing 1-0 to the Blue Jays right now, which kind of pisses me off. Not gonna lie, but like, what is Tampa doing right that puts them in this position?
I mean, they're putting their bat to ball skills are really good. I mean, like, they've got guys up and down the lineup that have hit for a good average that they get on base, and they just do the simple things that baseball, the sport requires. Like, it doesn't. We know that like, they're not like the Yankees. They don't have like, pop or anything like that, but they can create runs of their own. They can get base hits. They got speed. They got Chandler Simpson, who's the fastest guy in the league. So whenever he gets on base, that's a big plus for the Rays because he can instantly steal a bag and the pitcher won't even see it coming, no matter how good his pickoff move is. And he can steal a base. And if a guy, gets a base hit, that's already a run. I already know Chandler Simpson is going to score from second. Or they have guys that get in for power and contact, like Jonathan Aranda, Junior Caminero, Yandy Diaz. Like, they've got guys up and down this lineup that just know how to hit the ball, and they know how to move the runners over. They bunt, to do sacrifice bunts, they do sac flies whenever guys on third. The pitching staff is like decent enough to where it keeps them in games. The bullpen is fine, again, keeps them in games. But the big reason to why the Rays continue to win is because of their offense, and they just continue to create their own runs and get on base and just do the little things, small ball. Just that whole entire Rays team is small ball. And that's what I want, the Yankees to do sometimes.
Right.
That's how you win games. Look at what the Blue Jays did last year. I mean, they didn't have like a ton of pop, but they played small ball. Like, you saw how many hits Ernie Clement got.
Oh, yeah.
He's in 30 hits. I mean, like, that's going to get you far in the playoffs. That's going to get you far in the season when you have guys that can hit for a high average, have a high on base percentage, and you can work the counts, work the walks. Am I swinging on a 3-0, 3-1 pitch? Of course not. I'm only going to swing it if it's a full count. If the pitcher is going to make an adjustment, like stuff like that. They're playing smart baseball right now, and that's why they continue to win games. And obviously, I feel like they're very, 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 very good now, as John said. And I take them seriously now, but I'm not taking them seriously long term because I've seen this time and time again from various race teams over the years. Even that year when they started the year 15-0, they didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's right.
So
that's right.
I feel like good hot start for the Rays. How are they going to play in June? Are they going to get a June swoon? How are they going to play in September? Are they still going to play like this whenever October comes around? Are they even going to make the playoffs? Like, we'll see. But right now they're playing really good, fundamentally sound baseball, and I think their offense is a big reason why.
Yeah, they're a team that you really can't trust in the later part of the season.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned they started like 13-14-0 in 2023, which was the first year that we had those big changes with the pitch clock and the bigger bases and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They started 13-14-0. They didn't end up going to the World Series. If not, they didn't even get past the wild card round. They didn't even win the division that year.
Nope.
So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, they can start off hot, but you got to be consistent the entire 6 months of a season. And Tampa Bay just can't do that.
Mm-hmm. It's also really hard to do. Like, being that good and that consistent for a full season, it's extremely hard to do. Like, not many teams in baseball history. You can only look at like a few teams that have been like that consistent for that long of a season. I mean, it's just extremely tough to do. And like, for the Rays, I commend them for like how good they're playing right now. But again, I just don't trust them long term. Like with their history and just the way that they play baseball, I feel like at some point, like they're going to come crawling back down to earth, and they're going to start, underperforming again.
Hey, no one can be consistent for that long of a period of time. That's why I sometimes wonder if that 0-1 Mariners record is ever going to be broken, which it probably never will.
Probably not.
I mean, 116 and 46, like that's crazy. And then even the 98 Yankees who won the World Series, they went 114 and 48.
Absolutely. Those are some of the best teams of all time right there. Like the 98
Oh,
Yankees,
yeah. One of the best.
Mariners. Those
One of the
teams
best ever.
were pretty much consistent throughout the whole year. Like if you're winning that many games, like that's,
Yes.
I don't think the Rays are even close to that. But I think
Not even close at all.
Like you can be fooled into thinking that,
Yeah, listen, there are times where I thought the Dodgers were going to break that record that the Mariners have, and they're not going to do it.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. Now, this rookie class of the people these rookies who are coming into Major League Baseball have been making big splashes. One of the biggest ones is Munetaka Murakami, who's making his first full season in the majors for the White Sox. He's already tied for a three-way race in the AL in home runs with Aaron Judge and Ben Rice. I think Munetaka Murakami's at 16 or 17.
He's at 17. I think he's second by himself.
Oh, he's at 17. Yeah, he's behind Schwarber for second overall, but he's like number one in the American League, which is insane. Mm-hmm. And he's part of the reason why the White Sox are so good right now. So Munetaka Murakami's been playing really well. You look at guys like J.J. Weatherholt of the Cardinals who have broken out, and then you're looking at other players who have just like Trey Savage is his first real season. Cam Schlittler his first real full season. Parker Messick of the Guardians is also putting together a solid season in his rookie year. So you're looking at all these rookies who are performing at a high level. And there's a lot of stands out. But, John, I want to ask you, what rookie has stood out to you so far this season?
Well, I think you just went down the list. I would definitely start with the kid that's at number 2 in home runs. But I think there's a lot of baseball left. I'm really keeping an eye on Colt Emerson after he played his first game for the Mariners and hit a 3-run home run. That was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So, the Mariners are even talking about moving J.P. Crawford over to third base for this kid. Mm-hmm. So, it'll be really interesting to see what happens. I think there's a lot of potential. This is kind of the first year I'm actually excited to see the rookies play because there's more than a few of them out there that are really good at what they're doing. So, I think there's a lot of baseball left, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And you meant another rookie I forgot to mention, Connor Griffin of the Pirates.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why Pittsburgh is off to a good start so far this year. But now I'm going to ask the same question to you, Kev. What rookie has stood out the most to you so far this season?
There's a ton of guys that you can really think of. J.J. Weatherholt has really surprised me with the way that he's been playing. Connor Griffin, like you mentioned, Murakami. Who's the other one that I'm thinking? It's escaping me right now. But all those guys that you mentioned before, it'll come to me. All those guys that you mentioned before, they're having themselves a fantastic season. And I think it's nice to see all these rookies look like this young, resurgence, this young generation in baseball players, do this well. And I think it goes to show that, the game is continuing to grow and evolve with all these younger guys continuing to do well. And I think it started a few years ago. We can look at guys like Paul Skeens, look at what Cam Schlittler's doing right now, Trey Savage, all those guys. And I feel like it's a good new wave of young talent, and I think it develops the game of baseball really good, and I think it bolsters it to a high level. And I think that the more that these young guys continue to play good, I feel like this game is going to continue to show why it's America's pastime, why all these young developing players they look the part and they look good. You see more teams call minor league players up because they have that much confidence in them when they have to play in, AAA or AA. You saw with Spencer Jones, he came up. Jason Dominguez, whenever he came up for the Yankees, for instance. Colt Emerson, for instance, for Seattle. Weatherholtz, Connor Griffin, and you're seeing the results speak for themselves. So absolutely, I think that the younger talent in this generation right now of MLB baseball players, it's really a good sight to see for the game.
And this is one of the reasons why you want to see the CBA talks end prominently in a good way, because if we don't get baseball in 2027, which I really don't even want to think about right now, but if we don't get baseball in 2027, all the momentum that Major League Baseball is developing at this point, gone.
Yeah.
Gone in a flash. Because the last thing that we want is to lose fans. We don't want it to be like 94 or 2022 where there's a strike or a lockout that will delay fans going back to the ballparks, if not going to the ballparks at all. Like 2022, we almost didn't get baseball at all. We were on a 99-day lockout, and thank God Aaron Judge kept the fans involved.
Mm-hmm.
So, that just pray to God. If we get a 3-peat from the Dodgers, then we're in trouble.
I would lose my mind.
Oh yeah, so would I. Quick little
Go
thing
get a
I want to
burger at
mention.
the Padre Stadium.
Oh yeah, the Dodger burger with the 3 onion rings in them. First off, I love onion rings. Like, if you give me a burger with onion rings,
That's too much
I
onion
will
rings
eat
for
that
me.
in a heartbeat. Also, quick
Those
little thing I
onion
want to
rings
mention.
look massive too.
Those rings were
Yeah,
massive, is right.
Those are big onion rings.
Yep.
Screw the Dodgers burger in Padre Stadium if you don't know what we're talking about.
I wonder how much they would charge for that burger. Now, one thing I want to mention really quick before we actually do transition to the NFL. Fantasy baseball is underway. We're 8 weeks in, soon to be 9 weeks in. Big Dumper, I feel bad for Big Dumper because Big Dumper is 1-8. I actually beat Big Dumper this week. I'm sorry, John, but any words?
I don't have access to that team, so I have no control over what it's doing.
Wait, what do you mean you don't have no access?
I've never been able. I couldn't draft, so I've never been able to get to the team to change its lineup.
Oh, so wait. That would have been auto picking the entire draft, like you would have given Kevin almost.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. I feel for you, John. Now I feel bad for you. Now I feel bad. All right. Now, we're going to get into the NFL now before we get into commercial break. I want to get into a couple real quick stories. We're going to go over our tiers list for the AFC side of things, but I want to get into a couple stories. The first story I want to get into is recent news that involved Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is going to come back to the Rams for another year. He signed a 1-year, $55 million extension with the Rams, $60 million with incentives, and he currently will now have 2 years left on his contract, and he's getting like over $105 million in 2 years. Keep in mind, this guy is in his 40s, and he's the reigning NFL MVP. But John made a comment on the Armchair Discord chat that I thought was very interesting. He said this team's second best in the division, which is true. It's true. Seattle's better, but Matthew Stafford, you got to figure, can he even last another 2 years at this point in his career? I know he had a high-profile season, but 2 years, like that's a insane kind of money for someone who's in his 40s. Wouldn't you say, John?
Well, I have been making fun of the Rams incessantly since the draft because of what they did. And I don't think anybody expected them to go out and pick Ty Simpson.
Mm-hmm.
It was very clear by the body language and the look on Sean McVay's face that he wasn't expecting it. So it's really interesting that they're still on a search for a backup quarterback and that they would use their number 1 overall pick to go get Ty Simpson, who wasn't even the best quarterback on the board, in my opinion.
Not at all.
So that brings up questions to me. I think the Rams ownership group is going really hard for Matt, and I don't know that it will have dividends in the long run. I don't know that he can finish the next 2 years playing back-to-back complete seasons, and just in my opinion, with the way that he seems to be aging.
You're not entirely wrong. And, I feel like the Rams have been trying to draft Matthew Stafford's successor for a long time. And think of it. A couple years ago, they drafted Stetson Bennett out of Georgia in the 5th round. And we haven't seen a peep of him since. So, they've been trying to find a way to replace Matthew Stafford, and I guess Sean McVay is not ready to do so. But when that time comes, the Rams, one of their biggest mistakes is that they don't invest or even plan ahead for life after Stafford. So if they're going to roll with him for the next 2 years, fine, but you better have a plan. And I remember Sale Smith was criticizing Les Snead where his moves are hit or miss, where he'll either make a really good move or a really bad move where there's no in between. And Sale's right to the extent, because Les Snead, he's either hit or miss. There's no way it's oh, okay, this might pan out. We gotta see. It's either dumb or brilliant. That's the problem with Les Snead. Now another extension.
There are 9 starting quarterbacks in next year's draft, and the Rams will have plenty of opportunity to go get one of them, and they'll be 10 times better than Ty Simpson.
Or Stetson Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Stetson Bennett had alcohol problems. I don't know if you knew that or not. So
I didn't know about this.
That was one of the background stories with Stetson, is he kind of drunk himself out of the league.
Well, damn.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Now, another extension that was made across the NFL. Kevin, I'm going to come to you on this one because you know exactly where I'm going with this.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Shane, the Giants general manager, was extended. He got a multi-year extension. We don't know if he's going to be used in a minor role, but unfortunately, I guess the draft and other factors played into this decision, where now we're going to see Joe Shane for at least a couple more years. And when the news first broke, I was not happy about it. I was not satisfied with the decision. And part of the reason is because Joe Shane just seems like he doesn't know what he's doing half the time. The guy can draft pretty well, but what else can he really do that's positive? The answer is not much. Remember when we were in the running for Jalen Waddle? Yeah, that never transpired.
Yeah, I was the same reaction as you, Matt, whenever I first saw it. Well, just before we even start recording this, is when the news broke, and I was like, okay, why? I would have much rather played the season out first with John Harbaugh in his first full season. Then, if it goes successful, okay, give Joe Shane an extension, if you want, because I feel like the only reason he really got that extension is because he was big in a big key factor into getting John Harbaugh here to be the head coach of this team. So I think that's a major reason why he was extended, along with the draft, coinciding with that too. So I just think it's that this extension is a little bit premature, in my opinion. Like I said, I would have rather had a full season play out with John Harbaugh, see what the record is, if it's good, if there's improvement, if there's a 3-4 win improvement, okay, fine. And then if they have a good, working chemistry together, fine, then extend him then. But you're extending him now, so I'm assuming that now, as long as Joe Shane knows that he's not the biggest voice in the room anymore,
right?
Harbaugh, and he had that in writing that he doesn't report to him; he reports to the owners. I hope that I hope that that's the case, and they're just extending him so that hey, do you agree with this? And what say you? He wants to have a role in something. I think is what's going on here. I don't think it's really it's not Joe Shane. It's not a GM role for him anymore per se.
Yeah.
It's more of a high-ranking advisor at this point to John Harbaugh, because John Harbaugh is basically running the show now with this team, which is what you want. That's why you want it in writing, so it's in his contract. Because the last thing that I think John Harbaugh wants is for Joe Shane to be making the final say of anything, because clearly that hasn't been working for the Giants team, even with as good of a draft guy as he is. So because you got to keep in mind, this is the same guy who decided to pay Daniel Jones instead of Saquon Barkley for that 1 year. Look what happened. The next year he went to the Eagles and they won a Super Bowl. That's inexcusable. And then, but he did redeem himself abruptly by bringing John Harbaugh in here. I will commend him for that. And I will commend him for him and Harbaugh for this year's draft. I'll commend him for that. But I can't commend him for everything else past that he's had or hadn't done. So
Yeah.
I got to see how the season plays out. I also could believe that, like, since Harbaugh is going to be the biggest voice in the room, my thing is, like, okay, maybe they extended him now, so that way, like, if things go sour quick, then Harbaugh can just immediately advise for, like, like, to get rid of Joe Schoen, just pay Joe Schoen what's left of his contract, and then get a new GM in here. That's what I'm guessing, because I feel like they already have built up this relationship to where, like, before he was interviewed to be the Giants head coach, to where, like, he's hired and where he is now with, like, training camp coming up and, like, all this the draft and all that. So I feel like that's kind of the reason why. But definitely bringing John Harbaugh here, I think, was the big crux of why the Giants even considered to even extend him. If any other head coach was brought in, let's say if, like, I could pick any random one. If Joe Brady was brought in, or like Mike McCarthy, or anyone like that, I feel like
right.
Because, like, if you had John Harbaugh in the building and you let him leave the room, which luckily they didn't, that's a fireable offense in my opinion.
Huh?
So I feel like a culmination of all that is why he got extended. Again, I'm iffy on the whole thing, mostly on the negative side, because he really hasn't had any merit to warrant an extension other than bringing John Harbaugh in as his new head coach. So I feel like that's the big reason why. Again, I'll have to see how it plays out, but as long as it's in, like, a small role, not as big of a role as he once had when John Harbaugh wasn't the head coach, then I guess it's fine for now. But still, like, obviously, when you see news like that, it's like, oh, Giants 1 step forward, 2 steps back, same old. But as long as Harbaugh has the power over him, let's see how it plays out.
I'm assuming that's what's going on here. Like, even when John Harbaugh came in and he had his introductory press conference with the Giants, you could see Joe Schoen sweating bullets, knowing that he's not as powerful as he once was after he brought in John Harbaugh. So I think that you make a really good point. John Harbaugh is the main voice in the room, not Joe Schoen.
Yeah.
And it will never be Joe Schoen as long as John Harbaugh is here. But I think the Giants took a really confusing turn when they extended Joe Schoen without playing a full season with Harbaugh as your coach, with Schoen running the front office.
Mm-hmm.
It was just really confusing to me because, like, if you want to see how this experiment works, let it play out a year. Don't extend him after he did nothing with John Harbaugh, and all he did was bring in John Harbaugh and draft decent. I'll give him that. Giants had a decent draft. But again, like, it's a move that just doesn't make any sense. And you could look at everything that Joe Schoen has done in the past, not paying Saquon, not being aggressive at the trade deadline and getting Jalen Waddle, not taking forever with the Odell Beckham Jr. reunion. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I can point out that's wrong with Joe Schoen, but at this point, you just got to go with what's going on. You got to trust John Harbaugh. That's all you got to do.
With the OBJ thing, I will say I think that you're probably going to see if that even becomes a thing after June 1st. Because I think even same thing with A.J. Brown potentially getting traded. I feel like you're not going to see any news on anything like that until after June 1st because of that.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's pending. So we'll see what happens there.
Well, we're about to approach the end of our first hour. And when we do come back, we're going to get into our AFC quarterback tiers list. We're going to also go into Rashee Rice, the latest on him, and other stories of where the Super Bowl and the draft will be held in 2028 for the draft and 2030 for the Super Bowl. But anyways, DAS Technology Consulting is our sponsor. DAS Technology Consulting has been around for over 30 years with IT and data center needs and experience. And if you want to know more about them, take a look at this video by Darren Sirianni. Take a listen.
Our mission is to deliver high quality, scalable, and secure data center services that ensure seamless operations for clients across various industries, offering best-in-class data center services all under one roof.
DA Technology Consulting, thank you for everything that you do. You know, it's funny. I actually was in a podcast studio with Darren Sirianni, also known as Mi Padre. I'll put it that way. And we were recording some new videos of some content about third-party maintenance. DS Technology Consulting is big on that. So can't wait for more of that in the future. But anyways, welcome to hour number 2 of Foursquare Sports. Matt Sirianni, Kevin Zelis-Kolbich, John Welch. Now, this is going to be a lot of NFL and Fresh Founder Fry with John. And Kevin and I know John's got a lot to say at Fresh Founder Fry. He's got 5 minutes of fierce, no-nonsense stuff. And I can't wait to see what John has to say. But we're going to go back into the NFL here. Before we start on our tiers list, there's got to be a story that we're going to talk about briefly here before we get into the tiers list. And this involves Rashee Rice. So Rashee Rice, the latest story on him was that he violated his probation with a positive marijuana test. And it's because of this, he violated his probation and will serve 30 days in jail on top of recovering from a knee injury. So while you could say the timing kind of works out, it's not really good to be rehabbing your knee while in prison. So, and this brings up a couple questions. You know, if A.J. Brown gets traded, will he go to Kansas City? Probably not likely. Or will the Chiefs call up Stephon Diggs or try to sign him? So there's a lot of stuff up in the air. This is where after June 1st comes in with teams like Kansas City who still have a problem with their receiving core. And just a lot of uncertainty in the air, especially with Rashee Rice's future. This is like Henry Ruggs 2.0 again. John, I know you had a lot to say about this. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, just a series of events. First of all, because the original crime was committed in Texas, he is sitting in a Texas jail 1 week after the surgery on his knee. Now, when you go to Texas prison, you are not allowed access to your doctor, and the equipment that you want / need to get your knee in NFL working order is not going to be out in the yard where somebody's going to ship you. So that's probably one of the reasons Alex Schefter put out that he's probably going to be 2 months on the sidelines, 30 days in jail, and then another 30 just in recovery and getting back up to full speed. And that includes all of the OTAs and the practices that he's missing right now. So I mean, there's mandatory OTAs going on, and he's not participating. So I think that's a big impact on the Chiefs, and that's not even mentioning whether or not Pat Mahomes is actually going to be playing in Game 1 against the Broncos. So I think there's some significant impacts that this is going to have, and we don't know what that's going to look like until game time.
You did mention before we came on that we don't know if Mahomes is even going to be 100% for week 1. And right now, if you're Kansas City, you have like a little bit of a dark cloud hanging over your head because of the Mahomes injury and whether or not he'll be close to what he was in previous years. This Rashee Rice situation. Travis Kelce's on his way out the door because he's got like maybe a year or 2 left. Andy Reid's getting up there in age, coaching, so you're probably going to have to find his replacement within the next year or 2. So Kansas City's not in a good state right now, and roster construction could be a hell of a lot better on the part of their GM. It's just Kansas City's in a tough spot. Kev, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Yeah, it's a very precarious situation, not just for Rashee Rice, but for the Kansas City Chiefs, like you mentioned, Travis Kelce. Like, will this be his last year or not? Like Mahomes' injury, how far is he along to getting back and healthy? And with Rashee Rice, I mean, like the whole situation, I think is just something that like I've seen time and time again, like all these athletes, like thinking that they're like above the law and just doing stupid stuff off the field. Like we've seen with Henry Ruggs and like you name it. I can go on and on with other guys, but Rashee Rice is just the latest case, and he was into some trouble last year too. He missed, I think, like I forget how many games it was before he was activated and actually helped the team. I was he was on my fantasy team, so I know. And then he got hurt again, I think, whatever. And but yeah, now he's going through this stuff off the field. He's going to have to serve time in jail, and then a month, some more time to recover on top of that, like you mentioned. So yeah, with the Chiefs, it's going to be very, very health dependent. I feel like early on to see like if they can even find some semblance of like a team again. I think Rice is just one of the pieces. I think Mahomes is a bigger piece in my opinion because I just don't know how well or not well Fields is going to do replacing him as a backup for now. So it'll definitely be interesting to see like how the Chiefs start off and when those guys can come back if earlier than expected.
Yeah.
Keep in mind the AFC West is going to be one of the most competitive divisions in the NFL, with the Chargers and the Broncos both competing to be into the playoffs. If Kansas City misses one step, then they're fighting for a wild card and might not get in, just like last year.
Like at this point, I love the Denver Broncos winning the AFC West. At this point. Because
have you seen their schedule? We did some schedule checks, and I did an hour and a half with the Sportsocracy during the schedule release.
Right.
And the first 6 games of the Broncos is brutal.
Yeah, they got it a little bit tough, but they play in a tough division. I mean, the good thing for them is that it seems like. Yeah, you could maybe say the Chargers are kind of, are still relevant in that division. But as long as Mike McDaniel is your offensive coordinator, who I can't take seriously at all, I don't know how that's going to pan out. But then again, Jim Harbaugh is working with Justin Herbert. So I still believe in that quarterback coach duo. But Bo Nix, had he not got hurt in the AFC Championship game, the Broncos probably would have been in the Super Bowl, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, you can make the argument that that's the case. I would hate to say that in front of Armchair, but that's just how I feel.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it right now, John. The Broncos have Chiefs, Jaguars, Rams, Niners, Chargers, and Seahawks the first 6 weeks. That's brutal. Yeah.
Oof.
It's one of the meanest 6-game streaks in opening 2026 season.
Wow.
Yeah, but then after those 6, it gets very, very light for them, and then it's like a gauntlet towards the last 3 games, or they have Bills, Patriots, and Chargers. So should be an interesting season for the Broncos. I mean, if they can start out hot, I mean, like I feel like they could be one of the better teams in the NFL this year.
Like if they can go 4-2 of those first 6 games, I think they're in good shape.
Oh yeah, I think so.
All right,
and
so
I think they're going
now,
2-4.
Yeah, 2-4 possible. I mean. We'll see how they respond, but it's going to be interesting. Now, we're going to do our AFC quarterback tiers list. We did the NFC last episode. We're going to do the AFC this episode. So to recap the tiers: elite, great, good, bad, garbage. Garbage being the worst tier you can put a quarterback under, and elite being the best. And we're going to start off with the New York Jets. All right, John, where do you put the Jets quarterback situation?
How many games did the Raiders win last year? Oh wait, they had the number one pick, so they didn't win very many. And the Jets have that quarterback that the Raiders just lost all those games with. So I'm gonna say Geno is probably. I'm gonna say he's a garbage quarterback this year.
That's a pretty good placement, Kev.
Well, I mean, going from garbage to trash heap from the Raiders to the Jets. I mean, there's not much you can really say about Geno Smith and his ability to perform. I mean, like as the quarterback himself, I don't think he's bad. But like going into the situation that he's going to be currently in and being a Jets quarterback, I'm going to say that I think he will be a bad quarterback this year. So same thing as John.
Geno Smith to me is probably in the bad category. I wouldn't put him under garbage. Justin Fields is garbage. Geno Smith is at least respectable, but he's respectfully bad. All right, next to Patriots, John.
Well, he was an MVP candidate last year. And if he gets AJ Brown, I would have to put him. He's probably a top 10 quarterback this year, so I would have to say elite.
Wow. Okay.
I don't hearing myself say that I don't like it, but I think he's a top 10 quarterback this year.
Right, because you just beat him in the Super Bowl, Kev.
I think he's a great quarterback. Again, I think that yes, he did go to the Super Bowl last year, but I'm still looking at the schedule that he faced to go to that Super Bowl. I think they'll have a tougher schedule this year. So my elite status, like I said, it's only going to go to a few guys who I have already like in the back of my mind whenever we get to them. But May, I think, can get to the elite level if he performs like he did this past year with this kind of schedule. Now that it's being not so light like it was last year.
I think Drake May is great, not elite. Yes, the guy was getting MVP chance everywhere he went. But you know what? The schedule was so easy for the Patriots, and they played whoever was in front of them, and they took advantage of it, and they made it to the Super Bowl. And you know what? Drake May is great, but I need to see more. Now we're going to go to the Dolphins and Malik Willis. John?
Malik Willis hasn't even been a starter. I mean, he started games for Love, but
Yeah.
we haven't seen him as a starter for a complete season. This is a tough one for me, and I'll explain my logic because he has an absolute garbage receiving room, and he's probably a next tier up quarterback. So I'm going to say he's a garbage quarterback simply because he doesn't have anybody to throw to but like Ollie Gordon and Achane. So I don't know how they're going to use weapons in Miami with the wide receiver room that they have.
I honestly can't argue with that logic, Kev.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with garbage too. It's really nothing against him. It's just that we haven't really seen like a big enough sample size of him, like, starting games for like, a team for a full season. He's kind of been like starting like a few games whenever like, the starting quarterback gets hurt, or he's either, backing someone up. So, but I think like, yeah, with the reasons that John mentioned, the Dolphins have no receivers on that team left after losing both Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So it's really going to be like Achane and everybody else pretty much on that team. So I'll say pretty much garbage.
I gotta say garbage as well. It's nothing to do with him. I think he's probably bad, but he's in a garbage situation.
Yeah.
But he's garbage overall because of that. Now the Buffalo Bills. I think I know where we can all go with this one, John.
Elite.
No question about it, Kevin.
Elite. This is one of the few guys that I had in the elite category before we even started this. I mean, Josh Allen. I mean, like he's a former MVP. I mean, like he's doing everything in his power, his will to try to get the Bills, to the promised land. Has been able to do it, but it really hasn't been like his fault most of the time. I mean, it's just like he either can't get past Mahomes in the playoffs, or like his teammates let him down, the defense lets him down, turnovers, stuff like that. But Josh Allen is an absolute superstar in this league, quarterback-wise, and I think he's going to continue to be that for as long as he stays the Bills quarterback. So absolutely he belongs in the elite category.
100% he belongs in elite. Moving on. Pittsburgh Steelers looking like it's going to be Aaron Rodgers at the age of 41 or 42. John?
This is eye broccoli for me. I made the joke in Armchair's video last night that that McCarthy took one look at Aaron Rodgers during a tush push and said, "Let's do that again." So it's really, really frustrating for me to run it back with Aaron. But what else do you do? Who else is out there? and he came out and said this is his last year. So he will probably do better just because he doesn't want to go out like with the season he played last year.
Right.
So he's not garbage. I'm going to say good. He's not garbage. He's probably going to be a good, quarterback. He's got better weapons, just like Josh Allen does. And I expect him to win some games and probably not be in the playoffs.
All right, Kevin.
Yeah, same. I mean, like if this was like peak Aaron Rodgers and like Packers Aaron Rodgers, obviously I would put him like a much higher category. But Steelers Aaron Rodgers, I mean, I think he's good. He's not bad. He's not garbage. He'll do enough to win you some games, but probably most likely won't get you to the playoffs.
I'm going to say good. Elite career, but good at this point in his career. Baltimore Ravens, John.
I'm gonna say elite. I'm really excited to see what Baltimore does. Todd Monken is in Cleveland, so this is and Harbaugh is in New York. This is a completely different era, and the significant thing that the Ravens did was not or de-sign the edge rusher from Vegas. So this team is going to be very competitive. The AFC North is going to be competitive.
Yep.
And I think Lamar is probably a top 5 elite quarterback.
I might have to say the same thing as Kevin.
Yeah, again, another guy who's elite. I mean, Lamar, I mean, you could argue when Josh Allen won MVP, you can argue that Lamar Jackson should have won MVP because Lamar Jackson had the better stats than Josh Allen. And he's been unbelievable. He's a mobile quarterback too. He can pass for 500 yards, get 5 touchdowns, even with, when Harbaugh was still the coach there, even though when he was handing the rock to 3 different running backs, along with Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson would be one of those 5 running backs. And he can also throw the ball too. So obviously, like struggled in the playoffs. I mean, he's still trying to get past Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Obviously,
right?
Him himself absolutely is one of the elite quarterbacks in the league.
He's elite. Just everything about him. He can run like a running back, and he's elusive. He's almost like Michael Vick 2.0. The way he runs with the football and the way his mechanics are. He's just that dude. And he's great. Now, from one elite situation to possibly another elite situation. Joe Burrow, John?
I haven't seen elite Joe Burrow for a few years. He's been injured. He hasn't had the O-line that he needs to protect him. And this is going to be a make it or break it year because the Bengals are going to run out of money and they won't be able to pay the weapons that they have. So I'm going to say Joe Burrow is a top 5 elite quarterback, but this may be the last time we see that in Cincinnati.
All right, Kev.
I still think he's an elite quarterback. I think like the problems that you mentioned, like again, not anything that he can control himself, but like him playing his position, he's one of the elite quarterbacks in the league still. And Jamar Chase helps a lot with that. I feel like the defense might get a little better because now they have Dexter Lawrence now, so maybe they can be better equipped to win games defensively. The O-line is still a consistent issue, but I feel like Joe Burrow again, he's mobile too, so I feel like he can get out of the pocket whenever he needs to, whenever pressure is coming, and he can throw for like 400 or 500 yards and still get you enough to win you games. Even though the Bengals, it seems like every year they always end up go out like a really slow start. But then they seem to pick it up as the season goes on. So, but Burrow as a quarterback, I still think he's one of the elite quarterbacks.
This man took a garbage offensive line to the Super Bowl in just his second year, and probably one of the better postseason quarterbacks in the NFL in most recent memory. This man, they call him Joe Cool for a reason. This is probably the second coming of Joe Montana, if he were to stay healthy. Unfortunately, he can't stay healthy. He's in a poverty franchise. And unfortunately, a terrible owner. But he's absolutely elite. No question about it. So back-to-back elites, and now this. John?
Which quarterback are you giving me? Are you giving me Shador? Are you giving me Watson?
Dylan Gabriel.
I have said consistently that Deshaun is going to get QB1. I think he's going to be a good, decent quarterback, and then the Browns will probably draft another one next year.
Oh God. All right, Kev.
Either way, whichever one of the 5 quarterbacks that they have, it's hot Dookie Brown garbage, in my opinion. Because the Browns' main claim to fame right now is their defense because of Myles Garrett and company. And I think that's going to be enough to win them games. Like in some games, not a ton of games, but I think some games. Offensively, I feel like, Shador, I mean, like he didn't look great at all, in my opinion, like whenever he was starting. I mean, Dylan Gabriel started over him. Deshaun Watson, like with all of his, whole drama off the field and stuff like that, he's going to come back onto the field. Like again, just like John, maybe he'll be good enough to win you some games. But I don't trust either of these quarterbacks. I mean, there's a reason why the Browns have cycled through tons of quarterbacks for years and years and years. You look at that one Browns fan that has the jacket of all of the quarterbacks who have been with the Cleveland Browns. There's a reason why they're called the Browns, because of their quarterbacks are hot Dookie Brown garbage.
All right. First off, did we forget that Shador Sanders is a Pro Bowler? No, just kidding.
Get out of it. No, get out. Get out. Gordon Ramsay, get out.
Honestly, Shador Sanders is the last person that deserved a Pro Bowl nod. I'm going to be completely honest. Like, I'll go, you know what? The Browns are so bad, I'll go through each quarterback that they have and tell you if they're garbage or not. Dylan Gabriel, garbage. Shador Sanders, Maltese poop. Deshaun Watson. Anyway, Deshaun Watson, he's bad at this point in his career. Houston Texans, Deshaun Watson is just like miles and miles away gone. But he's bad at this point in his career. Like the off the field stuff is not saving him, and it's not making these better. So all the Browns quarterbacks combined are garbage. But if you want me to categorize each and every Browns quarterback I just mentioned, overall it's garbage. And yes, I said Shador Sanders is Maltese poop. I'm standing by that. Anyway, the Jacksonville Jaguars, John.
I said dog or falcon?
Dog.
Okay. Because there's
the Jaguars,
a movie
John.
that was named after a Maltese falcon.
Oh, I know that. That's pretty cool, actually.
So just different layers of garbage is what you're saying.
Yes, different layers of garbage. It's like a dumpster fire, pretty much.
Substrate of excrement.
Pretty much. Anyway, let's move on to Jacksonville, John. What do you think of Trevor Lawrence?
So this is going to be a really, really interesting year for the Jags. I like Trevor Lawrence's weapons. I think a lot of people forget that they took the number 1 wide receiver from the Raiders halfway through the season. They still have BTJ. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a great quarterback. He's just below elite.
Just below elite. All right, Kev.
Yeah, I'll have to say great as well. I mean, like just like with Drake May, I mean, like I got to see more of Trevor Lawrence, and like how he performs. Like if he can continue that consistency that he had last year, because last year was kind of really the only season that we've seen like Trevor Lawrence like be this good. And so, and like in years past, he's been like, decent, fine, okay. But like last year, like he was like really, really, really good. And and most people had like the Jags team going to like, possibly the AFC Championship because of his play. But I don't think he's there elite yet. He's getting there. I feel like if he continues to have something like that this year, then you might consider him in that category. So great for now, though.
I'm going to say Trevor Lawrence is great, too. I don't think he's elite just yet. I mean, I know he's got a big reputation in college when he was at the University of Clemson. He had a stellar career there. Jacksonville hasn't been too kind. Obviously, he had to go through the Urban Meyer situation, and then Doug Peterson kind of ruined him towards the end. But now things have kind of turned around in Jacksonville. I still need to see a little bit more with the new head coach and Liam Cohen, but I'm going to say great. Yes.
The one caveat I have is if he's garbage, it's because he cut his hair.
Oh yeah,
He lost all his aura.
ruined his mystique.
The whole Samson theory.
Yep. All right, now we're gonna go to the Colts. John, Indiana Jones.
You know, they went out and they paid him money, and then they got rid of his number one wide receiver and paid Alec Pierce, which none of that made sense to me.
No.
And they didn't get any better with the draft, in my opinion. So I don't think we're going to see the return of Indiana Jones. I think it's going to be Indianapolis Dimes.
Indianapolis Dimes.
I think he's going to be. He's not going to be garbage, but he's not going to be good.
That's fair. Kev.
I mean, I think you can argue like the season that he had before his injury last year. I think I would consider him a great quarterback, giving the weapons that he had and like what that Colts team was before like he got traded. They took a chance on him because of how injured Anthony Richardson was, and he performed and excelled to a really really good level. And obviously, when he got injured, I mean that Colts team was done. And with the points that you mentioned, John, I feel like he'll downgrade from great to good. I don't think he'll be bad. I feel like he'll be like good enough to at least win you some games. But like I completely agree with you on like paying Alec Pierce all that money instead of Michael Pittman. I think that was an idiotic decision by the front office. I mean, like Alec Pierce, don't get me wrong, he was good. Like whenever he did get you some like good games, but better than your best receiver, Michael Pittman, who I feel like was more consistent because I had him, I know, and they paid Alec Pierce $100 million, and he wasn't even the wide receiver 2. He was like wide receiver 3 or something like that. You paid him that much, and then you let your first one walk. I'm like, that was idiotic. But I don't think he's gonna be bad. I feel that'll only come if if his weapons don't perform. If Alec Pierce doesn't perform like how Pittman did, I feel like he might go from a good to bad. But for now, I think he's gonna be like just good.
I think Daniel Jones, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here. I think he's good because in the small sample size he was in Indianapolis, he did guide the Colts. They were the best team in football at one point halfway through the year. Then he got hurt and things kind of went off the tracks. The Colts still can't win a game in Jacksonville, though, no matter who the quarterback is, which is actually kind of insane. And he did have a good year in New York. He wasn't terrible in New York, but he wasn't good. He wasn't great. So I'll put him as good. Now we have Titans and Cam Ward.
The Colts have probably one of the bottom 5 schedules.
Yeah, I mean, they got it pretty easy.
They're not going to be much better than the Jets and the Dolphins in the AFC.
Yeah. Now we got one of 5 teams who don't have a primetime game, the Tennessee Titans. John, what do you think of Cam Ward?
I like Cam Ward. I like him stepping up in year 2. I like Dable and Saleh as coaches down there. It'll be really interesting to see the dynamic between those two, especially if Dable gets to be offensive a little bit more because Saleh is defensive. So and I think that this team has been building little bit by little bit. The O-line last year, some of the defensive pieces this year. I like Cam Ward in year 2 better than I like Mendoza in year 1. So I think he's going to be a good quarterback.
We'll get into Mendoza in a tiny bit. Kev, what do you think?
I'll say good for now because I need to see how Cam Ward plays with actual better weapons offensively and the draft that the Titans have had. I think they're putting on a great draft. I have to see what that team looks like with Cam Ward at the helm. But judging based off of last year, with the few weapons that he actually was given, again, I don't think he was bad, but I don't think he was great either. So I'll say good.
I think he's good. He has potential to be great if Brian Dable's coaching actually pans out, but he's good for now. Now the Houston Texans. This is a little bit of a tough one, John.
So last year, I said that there was a point where the Texans' backup quarterback was actually doing better than their starter when he was injured, and then he came back and was losing games. So I'm going to say good. I think they have an elite defense, a top 3, probably top 2, 1 or 2 defense, and that's going to win them a lot of games. And I think their offensive play and their quarterback is going to be good.
Okay, good, fair. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I have to agree. I think C.J. Stroud is still a good enough quarterback to where he can win you games. The defense is going to be the big story for the Texans this year because not only are they going to be a great defense like they were last year, they're going to be added to it by drafting Caden McDonald, defensive tackle from Ohio State. It's only going to bolster their defensive line, bolster their offensive line too by getting Wyatt Teller and Chase Basantis as those 2 guards. That's looking like one of the best offensive lines in the league if they can stay healthy enough and they can actually give C.J. Stroud enough time to throw the ball and keep him protected. I feel like he's gonna be like a great quarterback if all things go well. But going off of last year, where I feel like offense was like the main issue, and the quarterback play and how C.J. Stroud seems to fumble the ball. He's fumbling snaps.
Yeah,
That didn't seem like it was a good trait to have. So I'll say good. But I think he can definitely be great, upper grade, possibly elite, depending on if the O-line performs, if those draft picks, perform well protecting him, and if the defense continues to be elite, which I think he will be.
I want to say great, but he's had some really bad moments the last few years, C.J. Stroud. And his rookie year, he was sensational. He looked excellent, and then he's just been kind of dropping off little by little with every passing game, it seems. So I'll say C.J. Stroud is good, but he had a terrible postseason last year. Terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we got the Kansas City Chiefs. Their situation's kind of iffy. John?
I still think Mahomes is Mahomes. I think you have to keep him in the elite category till he proves otherwise or gets hurt. So it's got to be elite for me, no matter what.
All right, Kev?
Yeah, if we're talking Mahomes, a fully healthy Mahomes, I'll say elite. If we're talking Justin Fields, I'll say that's between good and great. I mean, Fields was in 2 bad situations when he was with the Bears and when he was with the Jets. I mean, I feel like when you're with the Chiefs and you have, I think, a better system and a team that's proven to win when they're actually healthy, I feel like it's going to benefit Fields more. But for him, good. But for Mahomes, I mean, it's Mahomes. If he's healthy and he still play like himself, so I'll say elite for Mahomes, good for Fields.
Mahomes is definitely elite. Justin Fields, I think, gets a bad rep a lot. And I feel like he's good, like Kevin mentioned, but I just feel like he's just in a really bad... Now, I will say this. Mahomes is in a not-so-good situation right now in Kansas City because I mentioned before, the Chiefs receiving corps is still a work in progress. And it's been a work in progress ever since Tyreek Hill left. So, I'll say Fields is good, but Mahomes is definitely elite when fully healthy. Now the Raiders, and John mentioned a little bit earlier before we came on that Fernando Mendoza threw 5 interceptions in a mandatory OTA session. So that and the fact that Kirk Cousins is the backup. John, what do you think of the Raiders quarterback situation?
I think the quarterback situation in Vegas is better than it has been because of these 2. I think it's still up in the air who's QB1. If Mendoza continues down the path that he's on right now, it will be primetime Kirk Cousins. And then the question is, looking at their schedule, when do you drop Mendoza in? And that's tough just based on their schedule because they don't have an easy schedule. So the theory is that you start Mendoza from the day one, but not if he's throwing 5 interceptions in OTAs. So I'm I'm hedging and saying that Kirk Cousins plays QB1 on day one.
Okay. Kevin?
As far as good, great, or
Yeah.
garbage goes, I'll say if it's Cousins, it's fine. It's good. If
All right. So good. Kevin?
Overall, I think for Mendoza or Cousins, I feel good. Cousins for reasons, from his past. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but I still don't think he's a bad quarterback either. Mendoza, I have no sample size. I have nothing to go off of besides his college performances. He hasn't played
Right.
one snap in the NFL yet, but I feel like he'll be good to start off. He could be great, but like I said, with the tough schedule and the uncertainty of how long or short of a leash that Kirk Cousins is going to have if he starts, when Mendoza is going to drop in and start. I feel like overall with the Raiders and their situation, I feel like he'll be good. I feel like it'll definitely be work in progress. Some growing pains. I mean, like Trevor Lawrence, we're calling him a great quarterback now. He didn't start out that way. When he was elite in college, he was kind of garbage. Like whenever he started in the NFL. So I feel like Mendoza might fall into that, but for now, with nothing to go off of, like NFL experience wise, I'll say good.
Honestly, I'm inclined to say bad, but I'm going to say good for now because, again, no sample size. But if I'm going based on resume and what Fernando Mendoza did, arguably the best college football season ever, good. Now it's OTAs, okay? Anything can happen in OTAs. So it's not an actual game. He's not an actual game action, but it's not a good sign when he's throwing 5 interceptions in practice. Now we're going to go to the Chargers. This might be a really easy one for me, I think. John?
I'm going to say good. It's like he's right there with Trevor Lawrence. I think he's not quite elite, but not bad. So good.
All right, Kev?
I think great. I would have argued he was like elite, like maybe like a couple years ago, but I think he's dropped off a little bit since then. But I don't think he's like bad enough to where like you just can't count on the guy. But I still think he's a great quarterback when everything is going well and he is making timely throws and all that. I mean, honestly, when he's turned the ball over a lot, he drops him from like great to like 2 tiers down to being like good, teeter-tottering to bad. But like overall, I still think he's like a great quarterback because I'm comparing him to like what else I've called great. I think he's as good, if not better, than Baker Mayfield, in my opinion, who I said was great in our previous ranking. So,
Yep.
But I think that Herbert, he has the potential to be elite, but I need to see him perform more like deeper into like the regular season and the playoffs for me to even consider that. But I think he's just good enough to be considered, just in the great category.
I think he's great because Justin Herbert plays with a bad offensive line. That's another thing I think you gotta understand. And they almost never have a running game. I mean, yeah, they got Omarion Hampton last year, but he was hampered with injuries, so we didn't get a really big sample size of what the running game could be. But I think Justin Herbert alone is great. He's just not in a great situation as far as supporting cast goes. Now the Broncos to wrap things up. John?
If he gets healthy and can play a full season, I think he's going to be a great quarterback. I think the Broncos are going to improve on their record last year, even though they've got a tough haul in the first opening 6 games. I really, 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 really want to see what Waddle does in a Broncos uniform.
Okay, Kev?
Yeah, I'm going to say great as well. I mean, obviously with Bo Nix being as old as he is coming out of college, he played for like 6 years or something like that. So health is definitely the main concern with Bo Nix. And like, depending on if he stays healthy, I think he's going to be one of the great quarterbacks in this league, potentially potential to be elite, depending on like if he can get past those first 6 games, like John mentioned, that are really brutal to start off. So I feel like definitely, I think he's a great quarterback.
I think Bo Nix has the potential to be elite. I think he's great right now. I think in the future he'll probably be in the elite category. Now, a quick update before we get into our last session. As far as the show goes, the Knicks are up 14 halfway through the third quarter. It's 67-53. But anyways, get your popcorn ready, ladies and gentlemen, because
It's time for Fresh, Fine, or Fried.
this is the last true segment of the show, and John has Fresh Founder Fried this week. So for those of you who don't know, we do this every week, or mostly every week. One of us will have 5 minutes to go on whatever take is on our mind. It can be sports related, doesn't have to be sports related. John, I know, is very pissed off about certain things. So John has 5 minutes going off his take. At the end of his 5 minutes, Kevin and I will rate him on a scale of fresh, fine, or fried. Fresh meaning good, fine meaning okay, and fried meaning dude. Are you drunk?
Not
John.
yet.
Not yet.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, go.
All right. So this year has been the worst we've ever seen when it comes to tanking in the NBA. On April 10th, there was a game between the Grizzlies and the Jazz where both teams needed to lose. It was a 10% swing for the Jazz if they had won that game as far as their lottery chances went, and so both teams were trying to tank. The Grizzlies even went out to the streets to hire players to play on their roster just to lose. I don't know. You should go look that up. They actually literally hired players off the street for this game. And so that's how bad the NBA has gone as far as tanking for lottery picks. The significant thing for me is you have teams like the Pistons and the Cavs and the Spurs who have consistently been in the bottom and have been building their teams the last couple of years, and now they're in the playoffs because of these players that they've been accumulating by living at the bottom, by tanking. Well, I don't know if you know, but there's a very important vote coming up on May 28th. Adam Silver has proposed some anti-tanking rules, and they get very complicated because of the way that they're going to be dealing with the anti-tanking. The first one is called the 3-2-1 system, where I had to write this down, so bear with me here. Hang on. There we go. The 3 teams with the worst schedule get 2 balls. After that, the 7 teams with the worst schedule on top of those guys get 3 balls. The 9 and the 10th playoff seeds get 2 balls. And the 7th seed, the loser of the play-in, gets 1 ball. This is supposed to prevent tanking. Yeah, see, it's confusing. That's why I had to write it down.
Mm-hmm.
The other rule that they're trying to do is say that you can't have a top 5 pick 3 consecutive years in a row, and you can't have the number 1 pick 2 years in a row. So that makes it even more complicated. And so my frustration, my anger is that Adam Silver has been ruining the NBA for almost the last 10 years. With all these gimmicks and all these things that he's trying to do, the play-in tournament, the mid-season, the in-season tournament, making it mandatory that all players play 65 games, has really, really changed the landscape of basketball. And it hasn't been good in the long run till we get to this point now where you have teams that are doing what the Grizzlies did to try and get a better spot and get more lottery balls for the draft. So one of the things that I was really frustrated at was the fact that Adam Silver thinks that this is going to change the face of the NBA, but all it's doing is moving how you tank. As a front office guy, you can be a top 10 worst team and have a better chance at getting the number one draft than by absolutely losing and being the worst team. And that just makes no sense to me at all. So like I said, this is just going to make the NBA worse. And I'm really frustrated. I'm not going to be watching basketball until the playoffs because I don't want to see this garbage.
That's all?
That's it.
You know what? Bravo. Kevin, Fresh Founder Fried.
Oh, fresh. Instantly fresh. I'm the same way. Whenever I heard those rules, it seemed very, very confusing to me. So, like, let's say if the Wizards, right, they have the worst record for 3 consecutive years. They can't get the number one pick for that third year. I mean, I think that's crazy. I mean, I still think that, like, I've never liked the lottery system. In my personal opinion, I've always just liked the NFL where, like, if you have the worst record, you pick first. The worst records pick the top 5, which I think is more than fair. Like, I think there's a good reason why the Raiders pick first because they have the worst record and they deserve the first pick. And I always thought that, like, whenever Victor Wembanyama got drafted, I always thought that the Pistons should have the top overall pick because they were the worst record that year. So Wemby, for all we know, could have been on the Pistons, and they would have been way dangerous than what they already are now. Can you imagine that? And then, like, I still think with I still am of the mindset that I think that the lottery is rigged. But with all these anti-tanking rules, I feel like it's really kind of defeating the purpose of anti-tanking. When, like John said, all you're doing is kind of like tanking, but in a different way. It's not really anti-tanking. It's more like modified tanking in that sense. So I think it's fresh.
All right. Absolutely, positively fresh. And the reason why is because, like, the inmates run the asylum in the NBA. We know this. And Adam Silver, his approach is very conservative. He's not really aggressive in making sure that he has the best product across the NBA. Teams are just kind of taking advantage of this, and has ultimately led to a scandal that's still under investigation by the CIA and the FBI in regards to the illegal poker games and tanking our scandal. So it's one of those things where it's like Adam Silver knows that he's under hot water right now, and he's trying to make things better. But in a sense, he basically just like sprinkling some different rules, but nothing drastic changes. And honestly, I think it's just laziness in his part. He knows the NBA is in dire strengths right now. He knows that the sport is losing popularity. He knows that the regular season is unwatchable because 2/3 of the league is getting in the postseason anyway. And honestly, like you mentioned with the gimmicky stuff, I was never a fan of the in-season tournament. Never a fan of it. You're getting like a couple $1,000 extra if you win this thing, but what's it actually going to mean long term? Nothing. That's the answer. So this whole thing with Adam Silver, I don't think he gives a damn. I'm honestly convinced that he's just in it just to say that he's running a sports league, but he's ramming it into the ground so badly. So absolutely fresh.
Well, like the analogy I have is like Salt Bay doing the salt sprinkle, but it's Oscar the Grouch, and none of the salt gets on the meat. Like, none of the things that Adam Silver has done has made the game better. Viewership is down 54%. So
Wow.
it's actually made it worse.
Down
And the teams that I feel
54%.
bad for, the teams that are losing out in this whole situation are teams like the Rockets, where they thought they were getting really good picks from like the Nets and some of these other teams where these picks aren't going to be as good in the future as they would have been.
Honestly, 54% down in the ratings is pretty bad. That's That's more than half your ratings gone.
I have a funny thought. So you know how like Adam Silver, like his what's it called? His solution to everything. It says like, oh, you want to tank early in the league, play a tournament, play the playing tournament, or hey, you want to you're still you still want to make the playoffs even though you don't deserve it and you're a bad team, but you're still on the outside looking in. Play a tournament or play a tournament, play the playing tournament. You know, what'd be funny is if teams want to have a better chance of having higher draft picks, you know what they should do? They should play a tournament.
Have a tournament.
Play a tournament.
A losers bracket tournament for more balls.
That'd be kind of hype, actually. That'd be the stupidest thing in the world.
That'd be the stupidest thing that Adam Silver would ever implement if he did that. And you know what?
Extra lottery ball.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not going to put that past him. I hate to say it. I'm not going to put that past him.
I mean, at this point, imagine if it's like Nets versus Wizards, draft lottery championship, best of 7. Whoever wins gets 5 balls.
Oh my god!
NBA owners are voting on these rules in a couple days, and if it passes, like they go into effect for next year's draft.
Oh my god! All right, that was Fresh Founder Fried, our last event of the show. Now, before we actually do, we have several minutes before we go into before we end this whole thing. The Knicks are up 16 with 3 minutes left to go in the third quarter. Josh Hart is playing incredible. So
24 from him so far.
24 points. That is absolutely astounding. Now, there is one major thing we got to do, and that is we got to go back to wheelofnames.com, because if you remember earlier in the show, John chose Kevin's punishment, and he chose for Kevin, wear a rival jersey, not auto pick your entire draft. So, Kevin, you should be thankful for that.
Yeah, I am. But whatever.
I just didn't want to hear him whining all season.
Whenever
I didn't get to pick my team.
whatever this lands on, it's going to be a costly punishment, and it's also going to be a pretty humiliating one, depending on who it lands on. So,
well, let's go through your options. So you have Trae Young Hawks jersey, Tyrese Halliburton Pacers jersey, David Ortiz Red Sox jersey, Shohei Ohtani Dodgers jersey, Dak Prescott Cowboys jersey, Saquon Barkley Eagles jersey, Jose Altuve Astros jersey, Juan Soto Mets jersey. I added Joel Embiid Sixers jersey in there, Jason Tatum Celtics jersey, and then Vlad Guerrero Jr. Blue Jay jersey.
Now, I will preface this before you spin the wheel. Whenever I talked into like the Discord, I was very surprised by like how many people like picked which jersey. If I did get this punishment, I said there was only like maybe 3 or 4 jerseys I would absolutely hate to wear, and I'm going to reveal it now. Saquon Barkley Eagles jersey, that's one. A David Ortiz Red Sox jersey, that's 2.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott Cowboys jersey is 3. And Jose Altuve Astros jersey is 4. Because like you can look at all the other ones, like for those who don't know, the Ohtani Dodgers jersey was picked first, like for me like to wear. And like
I was very surprised by that, by the way.
Well, I can see why, because like Dodgers beat us in the World Series, but Ohtani hasn't hurt me as much as those other players. Like Ortiz has hurt me a bunch. Dak has hurt me immensely. Saquon is hurting me now that he's on the Eagles, and Altuve has hurt me more times as that can count. I mean, like those other guys, like Soto. I mean, like I'm not resentful that maybe a little bit that I didn't resign with us, but I've already moved past that. He hasn't hurt me. You know what I mean? So those guys hurt me. So if I get one of those, I'm going to be kind of mad. So here we go.
Just out of curiosity, what are your thoughts on Tyrese Halliburton and Trae Young?
Trae Young, I mean, that's like, 5 years in the past. I don't really care. He's on the Wizards now. I really don't care. Tyrese Halliburton, he did hurt me. So, but it's not as bad as some of the other ones, like Altuve or something.
Okay. Well, let's see what you're going to be wearing on a future episode. And by the way, you're paying for the jersey.
Yeah.
Okay. On the count of 3, I'm going to spin the wheel. 1, 2, 3.
I'm so nervous. Dean. Okay. All right. Joel Embiid it is.
Joel Embiid.
I think he's an absolute baby loser.
He is.
Joel Embiid. But again, this one, it's actually one of the better ones because he hasn't really hurt me. Like as the other ones. If it was like an Altuve jersey, I feel like that'd be the worst thing. But Embiid, like, it would suck to wear. I still don't like him, but like I guess I can live with it.
Now, one thing you did say, Kev, was that after you got this jersey, you said you were going to sell it.
Well, I said I was either going to sell it or donate it because I have like a donation bin like next to my local Kroger, so I'm just going to toss it in there after like I'm done with the episode.
Smart.
Well, depending on how much it costs. If it costs like a ton of money, I'm probably going to sell it for maybe like half of what I paid for it or something like that.
Right. By the way, the closest you just passed Altuve. You were like 2 pawns ahead.
No, I would have been extremely mad if I got Altuve because, but you know what? At least the Altuve is more easily accessible to me because I can
Right,
just
because you're in
go to, like,
Houston.
a local store because I'm in Houston, so I can just or like a Dak Prescott one. But those two would have been the worst, in my personal opinion. But Embiid, like, okay, I gotta search and like try to find a decently priced one.
All right. Well, at least we now know that you're going to be wearing a Joel Embiid jersey on a future episode, whether it be next episode or the episode after that. We'll figure that out as soon as Kevin gets the jersey. Now, we have a few minutes before we actually go off. One thing I want to mention. The Foursquare Sports Fantasy League is looking to expand. Now, I made an agreement with David Smith Armchair, which, by the way, if you don't watch Great North Sports or Sportsocracy, tune into their content. Their content is great. That's number one. Number two, Armchair said he would join the league next year, this upcoming year, if I promote his book every single episode, which I'm going to do. And I also bought his book. If you want to buy his book, one thing I didn't mention about this book, let me just actually put the thing up here. This book is only available for $9.30 in the U.S. It's very, very cheap. You have to have the Gumroad app, which is it's almost like a Kindle where you have to read it digitally, but it's a good book. And honestly, I'm hoping that this book helps me beat John in the league next year. John's got to defend his title.
You know what? I looked back at like that fantasy video of like us drafting. I left so many guys on the table from whenever it was my turn. Like I passed. I'm like, why the hell did I pass on this guy for this guy? I picked Matthew Golden as one of my draft picks.
You did.
That he was going to be really good because of like the hype surrounding him being drafted. Dead wrong. Like he was an absolute waste of a pick. And like I know the formula now for how to win, in my personal opinion. But I mean, John, like he just made very calculated draft picks, and he did. He happened to land the two best running backs in the league on the same team, Achane and McCaffrey. I mean that's just like kind of unbeatable. Like if they're both healthy, So like that's like a key formula.
So my only tip is when you see everybody else doing one thing, pivot. Because if you go, like you said, if you remember, I took running backs early. I think I was the first guy to take a tight end off the board.
You were.
So I was pivoting. When you guys were taking wide receivers. I was doing everything else.
That was one of the ones that I regret. I had McBride available to me whenever it was my pick, and then 2 picks later, you picked him and like, I should have picked him because like Trey McBride's unbelievable. I think he's
insane.
He's going to be the Cardinals' top receiver again this year, in my opinion.
He probably will. Honestly, I picked up Michael Wilson in one of my leagues, and he actually did me pretty well. He got me to the championship.
Really?
They have Kendrick Bourne this year, so that'll be interesting. But I've never believed in MHJ as long as he's been in Arizona because I don't think the quarterback chemistry is just there. Like if he was on the Bills or the Broncos, like the chemistry is completely different, and he becomes an elite wide receiver. But he won't be that until then.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, from that, Kevin and John, thank you so much for watching Foursquare Sports. We appreciate you watching this episode. Subscribe to Great North Sports. Subscribe to Voice of the Fans Canada and all our friends. But anyway, this has been Foursquare Sports, which is sports That's Corey. Take care, everybody. We will see you next Saturday. Alec and I will be back. Take care.
Hi, everybody. Christopher Mad Dog Russo here. And you know what I do? 4 Square Sports on Sunday nights, 6 to 8, with all those parts of the country taken care of. Listen all the time. You got it. Mad Dog on Mad Dog Unleashed. Listen to my guys. Listen to my guys.